Look at this day, look at the sheer audacity of it all. We are living through a fever dream where reality is being rewritten in real time, not by policy or process, but by whatever fits the narrative of the moment on Truth Social. The timing here is absolutely staggering. You have to sit with this. We go from an endorsement for a Senate race in Montana that paints his opponent as a radical left lunatic Democrat who loves high taxes, open borders, and men in women's sports, straight into a global reckoning where the United States is allegedly being robbed blind by our allies. It is a masterclass in manufacturing chaos to sell order. Let's start with Montana. He calls Kurt Alme a terrific candidate for the U.S. Senate, someone who loves the USA, and he claims to have won big there in 2016, 2020, and 2024. He describes his opponent, Alani Bankhead, as an extremist whose values are not those of Montana or America. She is labeled a radical left lunatic who will put our country and safety last. Meanwhile, Kurt Alme is the patriot everyone is looking for, with his complete and total endorsement. He says Kurt will never let you down. This is the playbook. Create an enemy so monstrous, someone who wants transgender for everybody, that your own candidate looks like a savior by comparison. It's not about policy, it's about fear. And while he's busy demonizing Democrats in Montana, look at what happens next in Washington. He thanks senators who opposed yet another Democrat-led attempt to undermine our national security. Then comes the praise for Speaker Mike Johnson and House Republicans for their major success on a budget bill. This is being sold as one of the most consequential bills in America's history. Strengthening the military, providing aid for farmers, and passing the Save America ACT. He says our voters will be extremely happy and even impressed. But look at the demand. He wants the Senate to adopt a budget resolution before leaving for the August recess. It is urgent, it is frantic, everything must move now. But then the pivot happens. The target shifts from domestic Democrats straight across the Atlantic. He claims the European Union is taking direct aim at great American companies. And here is where he drops these staggering figures, numbers that you have to hold up against what we know about global economics and just stare in disbelief. He says Apple was fined $15 billion for no reason at all. Meta got hit with $3 billion. Amazon took a $2.5 billion fine. And now, Google has been fined yet another $1 billion, which he claims brings the Google total to over $18 billion. Just let that sink in. He is touting these sums as proof of an illegal and highly discriminatory practice started during what he calls the Sleepy Joe Biden administration. But his message isn't just about anger, it's a threat. The United States, he declares, is not a piggybank for Europe. We will immediately initiate a 301 investigation into this practice of robbing American companies and the American taxpayer. He warns that the European Union will pay a very big price. Penalties will be reversed, and we anticipate a substantial tariff placed on them at the earliest possible moment. Stay tuned, that is not diplomacy. That is an ultimatum wrapped in outrage. And while Europe is being threatened with tariffs for fining tech giants, look where his attention turns next. He shares a link about Bulgaria backing Trump and approving U.S. air base support despite Iran threats. The headline he amplifies screams Bulgaria, United States, Iran. It's another piece of the geopolitical puzzle he claims to be solving single-handedly. Then comes Canada, a country we share an open border with, or at least a long one. He says Canada disinvited the United States from the opening of the Gordie Howe Bridge. Fine by him. Why? Because they are paying substantial tariffs to us now. But here is the twist. He claims the original deal on the bridge was terribly negotiated by a previous administration, and it no longer stands. We changed the terms so that the United States America now gets 50% of the profit. Some number percent, just like that, rewritten because we said so. And then, the pivot to the Middle East again. He says President I told him in Beijing he would not give or sell weapons to Iran under any circumstances. That includes Chinese companies. And Putin, despite the horrible war going on in Ukraine, though their relationship remains, he also said he would not sell weapons to Iran. Trump claims they understand that he does not sell weapons to Ukraine, but only to NATO countries who pay full price. He says how those weapons are distributed, I have no idea. So two major countries, China and Russia, are supposedly standing down on arms deals with Iran because of his personal relationship with their leaders. If they did participate, it would be very bad for them. And through all this geopolitical posturing, the sum number in fines, the tariffs, the weapons bans, he posts an image that defies explanation. It is a digitally altered photo showing Donald Trump seated at the Resolute desk. But look closer. Flanking him are two World Series trophies. One has a blue LA Dodgers cap beside it, the other holds an empty baseball glove. Standing behind him isn't Joe Biden, it's Manny Pacquiao, wearing a suit and tie, smiling with his gold championship belt in the background. The flags of every branch of military frame them both. And then another image, a screenshot of a tweet from Brooklyn Boy referencing the eighth round of Ali versus Foreman, the rumble in the jungle, with an emoji boxing glove next to it. What does this mean? Is he comparing himself to Muhammad Ali? Is Manny Pacquiao his new running mate for life? The juxtaposition is dizzying. He posts a picture of baseball trophies and a boxer behind him, then immediately pivots back to serious claims about $15 billion fines on Apple. And through all this, the Montana race, the EU robbery, the Bulgarian air base, the Canadian bridge deal, he watches the markets react. The digital assets swing wildly. Bitcoin moves, Ethereum moves. They whipsaw up and down, reacting to every tweet that drops like a stone into a pond. But you can't connect the dots causally, you just see them happening together. A post about $1 billion in fines hits, then BTCust moved. Then Ethust moved. It is volatile, it is choppy, but he never admits a correlation. He says Google's total fine is over $18 billion. He claims we now get 50% of the profit from that bridge. These are his numbers. We have to take them as his reality because in this timeline, they are absolute truth until proven otherwise by another post tomorrow. The moral urgency here is palpable. He sees a world where America is being robbed, by Europe with fines, by Democrats with open borders, and only he can stop it. Only he has the relationships with Xi and Putin to keep weapons out of Iran's hands. It's all connected in his mind. The radical left at home matches the robbing Europeans abroad. The budget bill must pass now because time is running out before August recess. And somehow, amidst this war on American companies and foreign threats, there are World Series trophies on the Oval Office desk. It's a surreal collage of power projection. He says stay tuned for tariffs on Europe. He says Kurt will never let you down in Montana. He says we changed the bridge deal to 50% profit. And he posts a picture of Manny Pacquiao behind him at the Resolute desk. The sheer volume of claims, each one more dramatic than the last, is exhausting. But that's the point. It keeps you looking up at the screen, waiting for the next bombshell. The markets moved today, reacting to this torrent of information, but he won't tell you which way they went. He just tells us about the $15 billion fine on Apple and the empty baseball glove beside his trophy. The image is clear. A leader surrounded by symbols of victory, claiming that while others fail, he wins big in Montana, negotiates better deals with Canada, and keeps global powers from arming our enemies. It's a long day when you have to parse through $18 billion in alleged thefts against Google, the threat of substantial tariffs on Europe, a rewritten bridge deal giving us some number the profit, and an endorsement for Kurt Almy, who is running against someone with crazy ideas. And then you scroll down past it all to see Manny Pacquiao standing behind him. What world are we living in? The one he says we are building. He warns that if China or Russia sell weapons to Iran, it would be very bad for them, not their best interests. He takes Xi at his word because of our relationship and the favors he is doing him. It's a foreign policy built on personal chemistry rather than treaties, while simultaneously threatening 301 investigations against allies who fine American tech companies some number. Look at the timeline again. The endorsement for Kurt Almy comes first, establishing the domestic enemy, a Lanny Bankhead with her high taxes and open borders. Then the praise for Mike Johnson and the budget bill, the Save America ACT. Then the explosion on Europe, 15 billion here, 3 billion there, totaling over 18 billion in Google fines alone. The claim is that this started under Biden but ends now. We are not a piggybank. Then Bulgaria backs us against Iran threats. Canada gets disinvited because they pay tariffs, and the deal changed to give us 50% of the profit. Xi and Putin promise no weapons for Iran. And through it all, these images, a trophy with an empty glove, a boxer in a suit, float above like ghosts from another dimension. The markets reacted, they moved, they were volatile, but he doesn't care about your portfolio. He cares that we aren't being robbed anymore. The penalties will be reversed. We anticipate substantial tariffs. Stay tuned, but for now, just look at the picture of him with Manny Pacquiao and two World Series trophies. That is where his mind is. On victory, on winning big, on changing the terms so America gets 50%. It's a monologue of pure momentum. No pause to breathe, no time to verify if Google was really fined over $18 billion or if that bridge deal actually changed overnight. Just the assertion. He says it is true, he posted the image, and now you believe it until something else comes along. And what about Ali versus Foreman? The rumble in the jungle. Why post a screenshot of an old fight tweet when discussing global sanctions and budget bills? Is that the metaphor? The comeback? Or just another layer of noise to keep us spinning? He says he is doing big favors for China and Russia. He says NATO pays full price. But we don't know how those weapons are distributed, only what he thinks happens. Yet in Montana, Kurt Almy will always put America first while Alani Bankhead puts it last. The scale of these claims, 15 billion, 3 billion, 2.5 billion, 1 billion, it's overwhelming by design. You can't process them all at once. They wash over you like a wave. And then he says the European Union will pay a very big price for this illegal conduct. It is fiery, it is righteous in his eyes, and it leaves no room for nuance. There are only patriots and lunatics, allies who rob us or enemies we must punish. The markets swing back and forth as the news breaks, but he remains steady. Kurt will never let you down. And there on that desk, with Manny Pacquiao smiling behind him and a baseball glove sitting empty next to a trophy, what does it say about this moment? That everything is for sale? Or that victory looks like whatever you can fit into the Oval Office? He thanks Prime Minister Radev. He warns Europe again. He changes the bridge terms midstream. And he posts an image of Ali versus Foreman. The day ends with us wondering, was it $18 billion for Google, or just another number thrown at us to make a point? Does it matter when the threat is real in his mind? The tariffs are coming. The investigation starts now. Stay tuned. That's the show. We're on Spotify and YouTube if this earned it. Like, subscribe, tell a friend. And housekeeping. The machine that writes this gets tuned constantly for cleaner news. The numbers are real, the jokes are not.